Errol Spence Jr. versus Terence Crawford has a very good possibility of taking place early 2020. Bob Arum in an interview talked about it, and I want to give my thoughts on it, so y'all stay tuned. Top-ranked CEO Bob Arum was interviewed by Helen Yee. Seen a lot of YouTube channels talking about it, a lot of articles and stuff like that. I want to give my thoughts on his entire interview and what he said about Terence Crawford, Errol Spence Jr., purse splits, Al Heyman, all that good stuff, man. Let's jump right into it. What up, fight fans? Gym, boxing, family, this your boy, Get a Mic. Welcome back to the channel, man. Make sure y'all hit the subscribe button if you're new to the channel, and hit the like button, subscribe button, all that good stuff, man. Hit all the buttons you can, and that way you won't miss no videos, man. So anyways, you know, Bob Arum was talking about negotiations and stuff like that. He was talking about a possible fight with Terence Crawford, and he made it very, very known that he's one of the ones that wants to get that fight happening sooner than later. And he reiterated that it was Bob Arum, the one who was basically saying that he got some stuff for Errol Spence to do beforehand, okay? So one of the things that Bob Arum said, okay, he said he wants Terence Crawford versus Errol Spence this year. That's what he said, okay? Now, obviously, we know that's not happening because we know Errol Spence is about to fight Sean Porter. And, you know, some of the news came out yesterday that fight is pretty much signed, sealed, and delivered. Only thing they don't have is a venue and a date, but sometime around September, around my birthday, is most likely going down. Okay, so Bob Arum said the negotiations for that fight with Terence Crawford and Errol Spence has never started. Okay, a lot of people might think they probably sat down, had some sort of conversation, talked about it at some point, but they never did. It never reached that point. Bob Arum, though, he's very tricky with his words, so you got to be very careful with Bob Arum, because I do remember that he said some things like he never spoke with Al Heyman about it. But in this interview, he definitely says that he called Al Heyman. He says he called Al Heyman, spoke with him, and the things that Al Heyman said was, Heyman said he has one more fight for Errol Spence this year, okay? And we already know that that's the Porter fight, because that's what's going down at the end of the year. Then he says, and then next year they can negotiate. So that's what Bob Arum says that was the conversation with him and Al Heyman. Now, so next year it looks like they're going to probably come to the table and talk about the fight. Who knows at what point that fight can happen. I'm not too necessarily sure that this means that we're going to be getting the fight next year. And that doesn't mean they're going to come to an agreement, because the way Bob Arum is talking, I'm not too sure that Al Heyman is going to agree with some of these things. But that's just my opinion. You know, you never know. So Bob Arum says he's tired of waiting till next year. He says let's give the best possible matchups this year, and it will lead to the best matchups next year. And you know, part of that may seem like it's something that you should agree with. You know, I understand from the outcome of us wanting the best fighters to fight the best fighters, and we want it when we want it. Okay, we don't want to wait until let fights marinate too long, and also fighters can possibly lose. You know, in the build-ups to these fights. We've seen that in the past. We've seen Manny Pacquiao lose. We've seen just recently, we've seen Anthony Joshua just get upset by Andy Ruiz. So we've seen this happen. Okay, we just seen Charlo get upset. We've seen Hurd get upset when everybody was looking forward to the Hurd and Charlo fight. So for us boxing fans, we're not any strangers to the fact that these fighters keep losing in big build-ups to fights, man. So I can understand from that standpoint how that would seem like it's right. But when it comes down to Bob Arum seems to me that he's only saying these types of things because he wants to make this fight. He has his specific goals and plans that he's trying to do, and he's going to use that as a way to blame Al Heyman for not having the fight happen when the fans want it. Okay, now, had this been one of those types of fights where Al Heyman wanted to pursue a fight for one of his fighters on Top Rank, and it was, you know, and the shoe was on the other foot, you know, things may not sound so it might not sound so sweet coming from Bob Arum. Bob Arum may have a whole different tone coming out of his voice, but you can obviously tell that Bob Arum, he has his agenda for why he wants to make that fight happen faster, sooner than later. And I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that, you know, Errol Spence Jr., if he beats Sean Porter, he's going to be coming into that fight unified champion. So there's going to be a whole lot more negotiating power from Errol Spence's side of the street. And, you know, right now, Bob Arum, one of the things he said was, or he did talk about the Spence Porter situation and the whole pay-per-view situation, and how, you know, how Sean Porter is a difficult opponent for anybody, and that he understands how Spence wants to be compensated correctly for this magnitude of a fight and the difficulty of this type of fight, right? So, but the thing is, you know, Bob Arum, he says that he would rather the fight be a 60-40 split in favor of Terence Crawford. He would rather the split be 60-40. He believes Terence Crawford is much better known by the public, and I'm not too necessarily sure if I can agree with that. Maybe I'm wrong. You know, drop it in the comment section. Let me know how you feel. But for me, I'm not necessarily sure that Crawford is just better known than than Errol Spence. I'm not too sure, because the way the pay-per-view numbers went, it's kind of hard to say that, and it's hard to tell, because some people believe that that Mikey Garcia was the reason for Errol Spence doing better pay-per-view numbers than the Terence Crawford versus Amir Khan fight. So, but I can tell that the number one reason why Bob Arum is trying to rush this fight is because he understands that if Errol Spence Jr. becomes unified champion, WBC champion, IBF champion, that's going to hold a lot more weight when it comes down to negotiating this super fight between these two networks for Terence Crawford and Errol Spence. So there's no doubt about that. And like when he jumped up there and started saying that, you know, Al Heyman is the problem. You know, Al Heyman is trying to stop these fights, and, you know, everybody should, you know, boycott Al Heyman. You know, he's going to tell Errol Spence, you know, don't listen to the white guys, you know what I'm saying? And a lot of that has to do with Bob Arum not being able to completely control the situation. So he's kind of throwing somewhat of a little bit of a fit. You know, he's trying to get things to go the way he wanted to, and it's not necessarily doing that. So that's just my personal thoughts on that. But the fact that both of these sides of the street, both of these teams are going to come together possibly after this fight sometime early next year, that's good news for the boxing fans if they can come together on some sort of negotiation to make this fight happen. So that's somewhat of good news, you know what I'm saying? So that's one of the things. I mean, a lot of people was talking about this earlier today. I had some plumbing issues that I had to take care of today. I had to call up the plumber, and I mean, I was cutting the grass and bust the pipe by mistake, and I mean, it was just crazy, bro. Water spraying everywhere. So I wasn't able to get my audios recorded, but I'm trying to record them now, man. So I'm gonna probably I might do a live stream tonight. I'm not too sure, but it might not be, if I do the live stream tonight, it might not be a long live stream. I might just get in there and chop it up with y'all real quick, man. But this is good news. This could be good news, you know. This and I mean, when you really think about it, a while ago, Errol Spence Jr. he did post, I think it was on Instagram or I think it was Twitter. He says that the fight gonna happen, okay? And he put the big fish sign, if y'all remember seeing that. So I believe in my heart that this fight will happen. It's a fight that has interest. You know, the fans want to see it. Obviously, could be the biggest fight that can be made in boxing. You know, I did a poll on my community tab, and everybody basically said Crawford Spence is the biggest fight. So it has the fan interest. Will it be a super fight like a Floyd Mayweather Manny Pacquiao? No, I don't think so, because neither one of these fighters have the magnitude of opponents on their resumes like Floyd Mayweather and Manny Pacquiao did. You know, them boys had some names on their resume going into this fight. So but I do think it's the biggest fight that can be made in boxing. I'm extremely excited that, you know, they're at least going to try and come to the negotiating table to make this fight, man. Because at the end of the day, I'm a boxing fan, man. I want to see these fighters get in there and mix it up, man. I'm dying to see how that fight plays out. You know, some people pick Crawford, some people pick Spence, man, but only time will tell. Y'all drop your thoughts down in the comment section. Let me know how you feel about that interview with Bob Arum. Let me know who you think is going to win, Errol Spence, Terence Crawford. Drop your thoughts, future videos, all that stuff, man. Anything you want to drop, let me know. Just holler at your boy down in the comment section, and I'll read it, man, and go from there. So much love, peace, blessings to all the brothers and sisters that support gym boxing. I'll be back with much more content. I'm out. Peace.